Brad Williams, Excel Prime. How to create a drop-down list? Very simple. Previous tutorial, I just explained an overview of the data validation. So let me just show you how to do this. Enter data. Doesn't matter what it is. Here, I just entered months. The easy way to do this, delete this, put in February. Then as you know, we can use this tool here within Excel, this little green drop-down. Just copy it down. Automatically we have months. We want to enter a data validation. The person entering data in this block or in this cell has to follow these rules. That means enter a month. How do we go about this? Well, we go to data validation. We go to data validation. What we do is we go through, and I pointed out previously the choices. And here we want a list. So just hit list. You want to outline your range, which is this data here, C6 to C17. Let's just get rid of this and just highlight it. And your source is available. And if you want an input message, that would be this enter month. You just put enter month, or you can put anything you want. You don't need to put a title. If you want an error message, you can enter anything you want, but that's it. That's a data validation. Hit OK. If you want this drop-down arrow, as I pointed out earlier, we'll go back to data validation, and you see cell in cell drop-down. That's what this arrow represents. If you don't want it, click it off, and it's gone. But then what happens is people will be distracted or what have you, and if you use data validation to make it as simple for data entry, so put data entry, hit OK, and then all it is a simple selection, and then you hit March. Makes it really simple. That's just the basic entry. Let me show you another example. Here we have another set of independent cells. We can set up a range, and the way you do this, and this can get a little bit confusing. I'll try to explain it the best I can. Our goal is within this range, you must enter odd numbers. If you don't, you'll get a nasty error. Put 2, and you get this error. If you go here, 2, you'll get this error. You go outside of this range, not a problem. So we set the parameter. First and foremost, we highlight the range. Then we go data validation, data validate, and here we have various options. We want custom. Why? Because we have to put a formula in here. We put custom. The formula we're going to use is odd. This is critical. Note that it just says J6. If you put J6 to J13, it screws everything up. So when you do this, note that we highlighted the range, but all we're doing is entering J6. You can put any input message you want or none. Hit OK. That's the simple way of entering a formula. But note that if we go back here, if we change this range, J6 to J6 to J13, let's see what happens. Let me explain. Anytime you start messing around inside one of these boxes, Excel has a tendency to override whatever your intent is. That's all what happened. It just completely destroyed the formula. Keep that in mind. Now you have to remember what that formula was, is odd, and all it does is it forces an odd number. It is odd, and what I did wrong is I go back, data validation, attempt to manipulate this thing. J13, close it, hit OK. And it says the formula currently evaluates to an error. You want to continue? Sure. What happens? Well, let's type in an odd number, and it works here. What happens is you go to data validation, and you can see the error. This change didn't apply. Cancel, data validation, and you see it applied here, but it didn't apply anywhere else. If we put in 5, it's going to kick out an error. Cancel, and that's an odd number. Put in 2, an error. Let's hit Control Z. let's highlight this range. Let's go to data validation, data validate. And you can see now we have the original formula here. And let's get rid of that parentheses, hit J. Well, let's just do this. Let's just highlight the range, close it, hit OK. And you can see there's an error. And then you have this error box here. Click the error box, enter an odd number, and it doesn't work. When you're playing around with data validation, the data applies only to the first cell and not the entire range. Sort of like a spill down. Excel will take care of the range for you as long as the range is highlighted. Go back to data validation. You can see this cell formula is going to apply to each range. And you can see we have relative values here. That's wrong. So let's try one thing here. Cancel. Go back. Data validation. Let's put absolute values here. Hit F4. Okay. And it still says there's an error. If we go here, data validation, you can see how the formula is sticking now that we have absolutes. But Excel won't accept that range. It needs to be single cell. Hit 5 and an error. So my point is, when you're entering data for data validation, you have to follow these entry rules. So data validation, remove this, just go to J6. See how screwy this thing can get. Is odd. J6. Make sure the cell is highlighted. Okay. We should be 5, 2, and there you go. Fred Williams, Excel Prime. Thanks for watching.